Let me give you a walkthrough on Otto Audio's L.E.A.D virtual bass instrument, which is a beast of a low-tune bass instrument. But before getting into that, let me give you a quick playthrough of what this sounds like within a mix, and then we'll jump in and I'll walk you around the plugin. Now let's jump in and I'll walk you through the instrument. So starting up over here, you see the design of the instrument. You've got the name over here and this animated looping background. Now, if you do want to turn off this looping background, you can just click on the name over here and that pauses it. And this looping background has virtually zero CPU usage, so you don't have to worry about that. Over here is the picture of the instrument. Then down over here is the 10 articulations that we have sampled and recorded for the instrument. Now, I'm going to get to those in a sec. Let me first cover these parameters over here, and then we'll dive into the articulations and their sounds. So over here, you've got an attack, decay, sustain, and release section. You can adjust these, but these have been set up with default values. They'll just work with the instrument out the box. Now over here, you can adjust the volume, and then you've got a pitch bend where it can be set from 1 to 12. Now 2 sits pretty nicely if you just want to program in some bends with the instrument, so we've set that at 2. For the style section over here, we have 2 different sample sets, natural and aggressive. Now over here, the bass is set to mono, but you can also flip it across if you want a stereo sounding bass, but most of the time you're going for a mono bass. Then down over here is a string force function that I will talk about a bit later in this video, and then a sample location where you can change where the samples are loaded on your machine. By default, it loads into a location in your user library, but if you want to relocate it to another section, you can click on this and navigate to a different folder. Now over to the articulations, we've got 10 articulations over here, and by default, it loads up with a sustain that sounds like this. And then next to the name of each articulation is the pitch that you use or the key that you use to do the key switching. So if we just look at the keyboard over here, this is the range for the sustains. And actually the sustains have been sampled all the way down to F#-1. So they actually go off the keyboard view of this plugin. So the lowest note that you see on the keyboard here on the plugin is A-1. But if I go over to a MIDI editor, for example, if I click over here, this is A-1, but it goes all the way down to F#-1. And that's why we move the key switching all the way onto the right here. So you've got a visual area of where you can see all the key switching. So we've got sustains, which includes down picks and up picks. Then we've got a separate articulation with just sustained down picks. Then we've got chugs, as well as a chugs down pick. Then harmonics. So as you click to harmonics, you see how the range of notes that have been sampled changes. Then we've got tremolo, which is a loop-based sample articulation. So if you hold down a note, it loops with that tremolo picking. Then we've got slide up, slide down, some bends, and then the effects articulation that includes sound effects and non-pitch sounds that are really nice just to add into your performance to give some extra character. So I'm just going to play through over here so you can hear them. So as you can hear, just some interesting sounds that you can add into your programming. Now, down over here on this section, we've got a cab section that you can enable. So by default, it's set to on and cab 1. If I turn this off, this is what it sounds like. So I'm just going to jump back to the sustains. So if you want to add your own bass amp sim, you could switch it off, or you can enable this and have the 3 different cab options that we've loaded up into this instrument. So here is cab 1, cab 2, and then cab 3. And then finally, I want to talk about the string force option that I did mention earlier in the video. So with string force, we've recorded notes in different positions on the bass, so you can enable the string force to hear sort of different timbre of the note. For example, let me play the sustain and play a performance here. So I'm going to be playing F# and then a higher F#, and listen to that higher F#. Now I'm going to enable string force and take a listen here. So you can hear the difference in the timbre with that higher F#. So it's nice just to force this if you want to get that different tonality on the notes. As well, you can use D6, which is the key switching notes for the string forcing. For example, if I just jump across to my MIDI performance here, you can see all the way up over here, I put in some notes to force the string forcing. If I didn't want that, I could just take these notes and remove them, and then there wouldn't be any string forcing happening, especially if I didn't have it enabled on the instrument. Okay, so that's how the Otto Audio LED virtual bass instrument works. I hope you have a much better understanding now on how to use it, and we can't wait to hear how you use it in your songs and productions.